Hello, and welcome to our video tutorial. In this video tutorial, we'll see how to implement functions in C Sharp. So we'll see what is function, what's the importance, types of functions, and how to implement them. So let's create a new project. File, new project, function training. Okay, so now what's a function? A function is, we use functions to group our code. Function is just a block of code that's dedicated to work on a specific task. Okay, so why do we want them? Consider writing a project with 200 or 300 lines of code. Okay, when you do that, if I'm going to write all the 300 code in this main function, then the code is going to be too bulky and I have to scroll down to there. And also, if any error occurs or if something is not working correctly, fixing the error will be a very boring job and very difficult because it's too much lines of code. It's hard to detect where the error is coming from. And also, what if I want to write some code and I want to reuse it more than once? Okay, let's say I write some code here in this project, and whenever any project happens or whenever I got any project that can use the code I have written here, then it should be easy for me to copy and paste that code, to reuse that code in multiple projects. For that, we have to group our code, our program. Grouping our program is a very complex task and can be done in very multiple levels. Let's see. In our default program class, we have a function, default main function, which is a startup of our project. And now we have class and namespace. We can group our projects in these three levels. I can have multiple functions in one class. I can have multiple classes in namespace. Also, I can have multiple namespaces or projects in a solution. So, grouping of our work will be based on our function or our project that we are developing. For now, let's just concentrate on functions. In the future videos, when we see object-oriented, we'll see how to group our function in class and in namespace. Okay, now I hope you understand the meaning of functions and its advantage. So to achieve that advantage, there are types of functions depending on whether they accept inputs and return or give an output. So there are 4 different function types. The first one is a function that takes input, processes it, and gives an output. That's one type. The second type is, let's write it, takes input, processes it, and gives an output. This is one type of function. The next, take input, process it, and done. No output. Okay, the work is just being done in the process phase. The third one, no input, process it, and give output. It takes no argument, or it takes no input, but it does what it does, and it has to provide an output. We'll see examples of each type. And the last one, no input, process it, we'll see what to process, and no output. Okay, just be done. So these are 4 function types we have in C#. We can have multiple flavors of each, but basically we have 4 types. Now let's see how to define those functions. Let's assume we are developing a calculator, simple calculator, that does addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So for each operation we can write different functions. So let's see. Let's work on addition. Let's make it the first type. Okay, so our function is going to be add. The function name is addition. So this is our function. This is the function name. Done. But it takes input, it processes it, and gives an output. So I have to define what type of input it takes. Since it's an addition, it has to take 2 values, right? So one integer value called first and another integer value called second. So using comma, we defined 2 functions. Now after processing, we'll write the processing here. After processing, it should give an output. What type of an output is it? Is it an integer output, a string output, decimal output? What type of output is it? We have to state that. Since we defined the inputs as integer, we have to identify the return type. So the return type is integer. Now we have a function. Okay, now what it does is, let's create a new variable called result, which will contain the sum of the 2 inputs. Then result equal to first variable ሲደመር second variable, which we received as an input. Now after processing, it's a simple function, so the processing is done. Now I have to return the result. I'm expected to return integer value, which means my result variable. So what I will do is return a result. That's it. We did 1 function. Let's try subtract. In subtraction, we take input, process it, but no output. No output means I'll show the output inside the function. Let's see. Now, no output means I'm not supposed to provide any return type. So I will say void. I have to say something. So I will say void. Void means no return type, no return. The function name subtraction takes input. So takes 2 inputs, first and second, they are integer. Now let's declare variable result. Result equals first minus second. Now I'm not returning anything to the user or the function user. So what I should do is, after processing the results, I have to give an output to the user right here, which means console.writeLine result. Now the second type is done. It takes input, processes the input, and find the result. Then the result is not going to be returned, rather being shown to the user directly. So nothing to return. This is the second function. The third is no input, process it, and give output, which means I'm not getting any input from the user, rather I'm asking the inputs from the user myself. The function itself will ask that. So it has an output though, so the output is integer type. Now multiplication, no input, there you go. I'm not taking any input, but I have a return type. So what I'm going to do is, I have to ask the first and second inputs right here. So console.writeLine, please enter the first value, int first variable, then int.parse. I will store the variable here. Let's copy and paste this. Now I'll do it for the second value. So now, rather than accepting inputs, the function itself does that. Okay, so this is a function with no input, process, and an output. So now int result equals first variable times second variable. Now I have to return the result because I decided to return the result integer value. So I'll say return result variable. So this is the third type of my function. Now the last one is no input, which means it asks for the result and process it, and no output to return, which means it will show the result itself. Let's try that. No return, so void division, no input. So let's copy this. This is what we do. We ask first and second values and we store them on our variables, and then we divide first and second and store the value in result variable. Now I'm not going to return the result variable because I said I'm not going to return anything. So what I should do is I should console.writeLine the result here. This is it. We have 4 functions now. Okay, so these are the type of functions. Okay, we have defined 4 functions, and the next part is to see how to use them, or how to call, or how to access those functions. Now I just defined those functions. Since my function, when I run my application, the function execution always starts in the main function, not on my new functions. So from my main function, I have to be able to use the new functions defined. So that's what we'll do in the next video. I think it will be better if we divide the video. So we'll end up here and We'll see how to use the functions in our next tutorial. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube video channel to get notifications about our future videos. Thank you.